I want to start this out with a question. And this is a term that goes around a lot in financial circles. And I hear a lot of clients talk about it too as a goal. But when I say the phrase financial independence or financially independent, what does that mean to you? What comes to mind?
When someone says financially independent, it means that they have satisfied the conditions to meet their financial goals, meaning that, or they're in a path where they can detach themselves from, work or the unpleasantry of working for, a goal. So let's say someone is working a corporate job, 9 to 7 every day. And they have to save $50,000 a year to reach for the retirement goal. If for some reason they had like a liquidity event and they were able to fund the retirement goal, so they no longer have to save $50,000, they have reached a higher level of financial independence.
So first of all, this is an important term to me and something I think about a lot. I agree with your definition. It means that you probably don't have to work, and in projections of your future, your portfolio should give you enough growth and or income to cover your financial goals that you've created. And we can model this out, and I know you'll get into that topic a little bit more after this. But I want to push back on one thing, not that you said, but that is in the general definition of financial independence. And it's in the word independent or independence. That signifies something that can like live on its own, right? That doesn't need the rest of the system. And the only thing that we're really talking about when we do this is actually just work. But the rest of it, you're actually still, even if you're rich and you have a bunch of investments that pay for your lifestyle and your kids' education and your goals and whatever else is going on, you are deeply, the financial world is so interconnected. You are reliant on the safety of banks, on the ongoing returns of the companies that you're invested in, even if you're in real estate, even if you're 100% in US treasuries, short-term ones, right? The safest investment that we can think of, and you're relying on that income, you are still very much financially dependent on the system at large, the system around you. I know this kind of comes off as like a doom and gloomer, like, doomsday prepper guy who's like, oh, I'm, off the grid financially, would be like, you live underground, collect your own water and use solar and only spend gold coins or cash at the grocery store. Or maybe, I don't know, you farm your own food, but like Bitcoin. Yeah. But like in any case, the financial world is fundamentally like codependent. So like you can't actually be independent, which is why the word is a little bit, I don't know, I think the term is just slightly broken, if that makes sense. Maybe work independent, maybe earning independent, but you're not financially independent. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that concept. We take it for granted though, in many cases. It's not, we don't see it as a risk factor.
Because it's been very functional, right? For the entire life of myself and my parents, the financial system has mostly worked. I think 2008, there was a point in which a lot of people said this whole thing might break. And, our systems of monetary management and exchanges of value might not work anymore. But there's no real such thing as financial independence in the real, like, kind of broader sense of the world. So I'm nitpicking against nobody. Just a definition of a term there.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about, which is the retirement model. There's a couple of things I want to highlight today and talk about into more detail, but essentially, the retirement model, what I'm trying here to get out is, what you should have to save each year to retire. So that's kind of like the output of this. There's many inputs, but some of them are under your control, and some of them are not.
Let me cut you off here real quick. So this is deep in the nerd world that you and I work in professionally of financial planning, and the reason that we would even be talking about a model or using a model. What is this model for? What does it accomplish for us?
For my clients, mainly. It answers questions based on inputs that we put in. Obviously, garbage in, garbage out, right? So the inputs need to be correct, but it answers, the whole idea for these models is to answer questions. I think I listed in there the inputs is like desired retirement age, like when do you want to retire? That's an input. What's your longevity estimation? Like how long are you going to live? That's another input. What's the desired retirement spending? How much are you going to spend during retirement? Another one that could be in here, I don't think I have it in here, but it's how much are you able to save, right? That's a constraint. The other one is what's your asset allocation. That will determine your performance, your upper and lower limits of performance. Where are they located? If it's a Roth or a pre-tax account, that makes a big difference in retirement. Pre-tax accounts have to pay income taxes when you retire. Roths don't. They grow tax-free. And when you take them out, when you get the distributions, they're tax-free. Why? Because you funded them after tax. And then you have to consider other sources of income during retirement. So, and the big one is Social Security. Everybody, or most folks, I would say, in the US will claim Social Security at different levels. And it for a lot of people, especially in Middle America, it is the primary source of income after retirement. But what I want to highlight here is like there's certain aspects that are more under your control, and there's a lot of them that are not under your control. And there's a middle ones that are kind of under your control, but not fully. So savings and spending, 100% under your control. Unless you have children and commitments. The spending portion might be outside your control there, but there is bounds where you should be able to control it. Asset allocation and location, you should be able to control, where you invest your capital and which accounts. You plan that ahead of time, and there's a good amount of control there. Employment earning.
I want to double click on that one super quick. The new Retirement Act, we got an email from a buddy. We may be getting even more control than we currently have on asset location and allocation, or asset location specifically, based on new legislation that hasn't passed yet, but it's possible. But yes,
it's highly likely that will pass. We'll talk about it once it passes. Yep. They call it the Secure Act 2.0. That's a good segue into, well, there's no segue here, but tax rates, totally not under your control. Market returns, really not under your control. But the one I want to talk about today is longevity. And this is an issue. It's a challenge, I would say, in the future. And I'm going to actually show you the problem that we're facing here. It's a challenge because you have to plan for longer life expectancy. It's a good thing. Like, you can live longer. It's a great thing. If you are wealthy, you will live much longer than the median, and you have to account for that. This is actually just to show that the median for people in the top income brackets is much higher than the ones who are in the lower bracket. It's unfortunate that this is the way it works in America, but we all know that over time life expectancy has gone up, but it has gone up way faster and higher. If you're in the top income percentile brackets, look at the difference. Like, the difference is astonishing. The woman at the bottom 1% is 78.8 years. At the top, it's 88.9. It's like a 10-year difference. It actually has a lot. It has a big impact in your decision when you're taking Social Security, because Social Security has break-even points where it's better to wait to take the Social Security later on versus taking it earlier on. So same thing for men. Look at men. The difference is even higher. It's like 15 years between the bottom and the high.
Incredible. Yep.
And then the expectations of people is like that. People, this is a big problem, is that many people are expecting to work until they're like 70 or 72 or 73 or 74. And the reality is that a lot of people fall ill and somehow are forced out of the labor market, and they have to retire early. And so what I'm saying here is I'm trying to warn people is like, you have to come up with a secondary plan. Like, you cannot, like, the old backup plan of working longer doesn't always work. And so you have to come up with another plan, or just adjust your expectations of your model. And I think those are the two things I wanted to talk about today, because I could go on all the other subjects, but those are the very two, I think, very important ones I've come across in the last 2 months.
The retirement model is meant to answer hard questions. When you ask a tough financial question that has a lot of implications, like when can I afford to retire? There's not just that's not like a, type in a calculator and get a quick answer. There's a lot of variables in that. And a model will give you some idea, some projection of where this goes. And what you've done here is pick out the things that a person can actually control about it. There's pieces here that longevity is such a great one, because what's your answer to this? Hey, Mr. Kaplan, thank you for letting me do your retirement model. How long are you going to live? What's your expected life longevity? What's your
I will
answer?
say in my model, I have 95. But the surprising thing is, my grandfather from my father's side is, I think he's already at 95. And this is 2 generations above me. Medicine is improving. I'm telling you, and I'm gonna be 40 in 2 years, a year and a couple of months. I hope that medicine improves in 30 years, or in whatever, by 70. I should have a much more modern tool set for medicine. And so I think my longevity might be in the hundreds. And so now I have to modify that, and it's painful, because it just increases the amount of money I should be saving right now for retirement, if I want to live a lifestyle, my intended lifestyle.
It's a good point. If you model this out, that's what it will tell you, that you need a bigger nest egg to live longer. I don't worry about that much personally, because I'm fairly confident that I won't care that much about making or having a ton of money at that point. But I also, like most people, I fear anyone having to take care of me financially, right? Becoming a burden in old age.
Yeah.
A lot of people bring that up as a top retirement fear.
Yeah. I think that's, one of the greatest gifts you can give your kids is not being a burden to them.
It's a very Western way of thinking.
Yeah.